flag here. Can everybody see it?
Yep.
Okay. I pledge allegiance
We pledge allegiance to the flag
to the flag
The
of the
United States of
of
America,
America and to the
to the
republic
republic which stands
one
one
nation
nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
Here, okay. So, well, there's one good thing about this. This should be our last Zoom meeting. What are you looking for? Somebody in the other room put the numbers on it. Okay, so everybody received a copy of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look them over?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to accept them.
So moved. Second.
Okay. That was Don
Yep.
and Neil. Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Next is Randy Highway.
Hey everybody. Start out with the easy things first. Road postings could be this as soon as this Friday. That's what Tracy Eldridge told me. Depending on next week's weather outlook, and it looks pretty warm and wet. So more than likely this Friday or early next week sometime, the road posting signs will go up. That being said, the snowmobile grooming has also pretty much come to an end. We had a very good season as far as breakdowns and such. But the backwoods trails, the village trails are all brown and very dirty, as I would say, and bare ground in some spots. So that we've started our slow endeavor of repairing, bringing the groomers in and, end of the season repairs and such, and putting them away. We started with the first one today. Now, we also started on getting ready to finish the siding on the old bus garage last week when it was warm. So we ordered the rest of the materials, the doors, the side entry door and the siding and stuff like that. We took out the windows and are now getting, waiting for the siding that's supposed to be here on Thursday. So the next thing on my list is the snowmobile that we put up for auction. It sold for $2,250, which was, in my mind, incredible. Kind of what I think I estimated $2,000 to $3,000, so that was pretty close to what it was going to go for. I accepted that this morning because I really didn't want them running away from it. And now they have paid for it, so I'm expecting a phone call tomorrow morning. Probably it's when they can come and get it. So that is one piece of machinery we don't have to worry about putting money into anymore. The library roof, Don and I went and looked at this morning, and I spoke to the contractor about that. The end wall vents, I made an agreement that if the town purchases those vents, the three of them, he agreed he would install them for us, cut the vinyl siding and put them in there. So that will get rid of the heat that's being held upstairs. That being said, Don and I came to an agreement that there is seems like there's an excessive amount of heat upstairs. Even today, we had a hard time seeing our breath when it was 4 degrees outside. For a building that's supposed to be vented and super insulated with spray foam, it doesn't seem to be holding back a lot of the heat in the downstairs area. So I would like to go ahead.
No, that was.
Oh, I would like to do a little investigating, figure out the square footage of the building, and call around and get some estimates on rolled insulation to complement that spray foam insulation that some places are thick and some places are thin, and see if we can insulate that building a little bit more in the attic area, since we're going to open up and ventilate the attic area. If we don't trap the heat in where we want it, then we're going to be wasting, heat going out that area. It only seems logical to me, but that's a board decision that if we want to, once I get some prices, if we want to spend that money, I think in the long run, it'll be the smartest thing, for that building.
I've got several rolls that can be donated.
Okay.
I don't know. It's either 4 or 6 inches, I'm sure, but I don't know which.
Yeah, it's gotta be 16-inch width. We're gonna put it between the floor joists.
Well, Don, we might be able to put,
Wide, yeah.
Don, we could probably put anything up over the furnace room where they spray foam that 2x6 area right full.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, that's true.
anything will pretty much roll out up there.
Yeah, I didn't go up there. So
Yeah, it's 2x6 backed with tie back and then sprayed, so it's a smooth surface up top,
okay.
like the walls were.
Yeah, do we know how thick that is up there?
It's 2x6, so it's not more than
Okay,
it's not more than 5.5 inches.
right.
So, which is, if it's our value of 7 per inch, that's, it's 35, 36. It's still not really up to what it should be.
Randy, is this spray foam insulation between the rafters or the joists?
Floor joists,
Okay,
which are the, ceiling rafters.
right.
Um,
But I mean the attic rafters.
no, it's in the floor joists.
Okay.
The floor joists, the ceiling rafters for the downstairs in the unheated part.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So I will be getting back to you on a cost for that, but that's, at this point, my suggestion is have the vents put in and then put some more insulation up top. I mean, there's also, we also could do the spray, the blown in stuff. I don't know how efficient that is, but, that you pump up there. I think we did that in the library originally. The bat fur, or whatever they want to call it. I don't know what the R value compared to rolled insulation is of that, but I can do some investigating, see what's more cost effective.
Hey, Randy.
Yep.
Is the contractor putting these vents in as a courtesy?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be done according to the plans before.
Right.
It got overlooked. So,
Right.
Well, whatever the cost may be with the insulation, we have to fix it and we have to fix this right. This can't continue.
Exactly.
right, there's an excessive amount of heat loss, obviously, with all that
Absolutely.
bicycles hanging.
Absolutely. And before we have damage.
Right. Going from there, the FEMA money that has been coming in, and the state now is picked up so far 12.5% of the 25% that we were not getting. So we've been receiving a couple checks so far, and which is, a big surprise at this time the state is coming up with extra money for us. We pretty much ruled out that we weren't going to get the 25%, but so far we've gotten 12. Started seeing 12.5% of all of our claims come in for.
Because the COVID relief bill is going to bail the New York State out.
Okay, and so that's this yeah, and eventually that'll come back around. But so far the FEMA money for the state for the storm is, we've gotten 2 or 3 checks so far that I know of. So hopefully the state keeps coming with that, and maybe the other 12.5% if I can really cross my fingers later on. Also, CHIPS money. I've been made aware, I haven't seen it in ink, because they haven't come out with anything permanent, but it appears we are going to get our 20% from last year put in as a fund for this year. Because they cut our CHIPS money by 20%, and some people spent it and then had to pay it back, and so on and so forth. We didn't spend it, but now it looks like our CHIPS funds for this year will have a rollover of 20% from last year. So that's, good. And I've heard that in a email that they are not going to cut our 20% this year, which makes sense. So that's, more money for, the roads and such, and so on and so forth. And I think that's all I have left on my list. Any questions? Hi, Neil. You're back.
It's quite
You missed my whole thing.
I'm waiting for the book.
Okay. So, I don't. Yeah, we already made a resolution to sell the snowmobile, so we don't have to do anything with that.
Last week we did it, last meeting.
Yep. Okay, we're done.
Okay, so then moving on to old business, the letters from the RO owners, we are still waiting for the Samuelsons and the Blennises. We had already received from the Dunns and the Stubbs, we had mailed them out on February 5th. So we're just waiting for those two to sign. Just wanted to give you a little update on that. Auctions International, Laura Darling contacted me Friday afternoon. RJ from Auctions International was on vacation last week. She is working with him the beginning of this week and will be in touch. So we're hoping it will be very shortly that we will be able to get this auction off the ground and moving. Next is the reserve fund resolutions. Did everybody have a chance to read through all the reserve funds that we sent you, the resolutions and retroactive resolutions, I should say? Okay, so the first one that I'm going to start with then will be the tennis courts on Elm Lake Road. So I'm looking for a motion resolution.
Oh, I'll second.
Okay.
So Chris first.
So Chris and then Neil. Okay, so any discussion on that? No discussion, hearing none. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So the next one we will do will be the truck fund, which was also retroactive to 2019. I'm looking for a motion to move that one. Chris, and was that Nancy?
Yep,
Okay, that was Nancy. Okay, and looking for a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded, okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the next one is the loader, which was also retroactive to 2019 budget. So I'm looking for a motion for that.
I'll move.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion on that? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And last but not least will be the garbage truck,
Which should be the first one.
which is retroactive to 2019 budget. Looking for a motion to accept it. Move it.
I'll move.
Nancy, okay, second.
I'll second.
Chris, okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And as you noticed in these resolutions, so that we didn't have to work with this again in the future, we have towards the end, whereas the board can adjust dollar amounts if needed. So if more money needed to go in, or we can do that. So that's all cleaned up. I'll get a copy of these all to the treasurer's office tomorrow. So we should be that's all taken care of. We should be good to go on that.
Thank you.
So, yep. So the next thing is a
Can I
BTI
ask a
report.
question?
Sure.
Back to the RO system owner letters.
Yep.
What if they don't send it back? And was it sent, return receipt signed, so we know they got them?
Return receipt requested.
Yeah, we got two back, the two green receipts back, and we haven't gotten those back yet.
The other two signed on the 9th of February, and these two have not been signed for yet.
Think we lost Neil again. So what happens if they don't? That might be something to ask Laura.
Well, the thing is, didn't you all pass a resolution on that? That was agreed upon, that was what you all agreed upon was gonna
Yes.
happen? And we were I would imagine it was just a courtesy that we did by sending the letters out to them.
They can be hand delivered once they show up this summer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Question I have, when you send return receipt requested, if they don't sign in so many days, wouldn't they come back to us? Shouldn't they come back to us with the envelope with the green thing on it that they didn't sign for it?
I would think.
Okay, but it hasn't happened yet, but I would think if we get them, we'll certainly put them in the file, and then this summer, then that's, like Chris said, that's what we'll have to do. We'll have to hand deliver them.
Before their water systems get set up.
Yeah. It could be too that they're away maybe and, mail gets forwarded or not. So we'll just have to wait a while longer and then decide how we want to address this.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to get,
No,
Out of order.
absolutely. Okay, so the next was the BTI report. Well, I had a really good report. Vi came in this morning, we had a really good report. Someone had started actually taking the classes online with the DEC and then felt that it was too much because they were also doing another class and they wouldn't be able to handle both, so they are not doing it. So Vi has names of two other people that she contacted today. She's hoping that she can get them registered because at this point all we're back to is just Vi. So I'll keep you guys updated on the BTI. I'm hoping to hear from her in the next day or two on that. So it
Do
wasn't
we
good
want to
news
put
tonight.
help wanted on the top of those flyers? Because right now, you really need to read the whole thing to realize it almost looks like just at a glance that we're just saying, hey, the BTI application is going to start soon.
And you're right, and I think it was brought to our attention about a week and a half ago, but we had 3 people banging on our door. So we thought,
So
okay,
you
so
can
just leave it
yeah.
alone. And then this morning it backfired in our face. So, so Debbie will take care of that. She'll update them and we'll take care of that tomorrow and get that done. Next thing is, and this is just the tennis courts from the county. Everybody read the resolution and the contract that we have with them or agreements. Is there any reason for any discussion or everybody's comfortable at this time?
What?
I don't think we have to discuss it till before 2/24.
Okay.
We're up to the
Chris?
tennis courts for the county? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just getting confused. I don't see it on my list.
yeah, this is the for the county one.
Okay.
Okay. So there's no need to worry about that at this time. Okay, so then next, we're going to move into new business, and I know it's not on your agenda, but I'm gonna put Karen on first, because she wants to give a library report. Are you there, Karen?
I am.
Okay, Karen, you're next.
Am I on?
You're on.
It was on the agenda, and I think you also should have received a copy. Thank you, Nancy Sipes, very much for forwarding that to the other members of the board. And I hope everybody got it. A couple of things I wanted to say about this. I would have liked to have done a comparison with any of these numbers with the previous year, but being that 2020 was a different year based on COVID, I don't think it would have much merit. It would be like comparing apples to oranges. It just wouldn't be relevant. So if you had any questions about these, I'd be glad to entertain them in a minute. But in the meantime, I want to say that in 2020, with the whole year having been in a COVID situation, I have to applaud the staff that worked at the library during that time. We were one of the first libraries to open on a curbside service situation prior to any other library in the South system. And that meant that people could call in, request an item. They would be put outside in a safe environment. People would come pick it up. Things that were brought back were kept in a isolated area for 72 hours before they were cleaned and put back on the shelf. And I have to applaud the staff for the work that they did in keeping our patrons up to date on reading material and other things that they wanted to get out of the library. The other thing that I had to mention, sort of bringing you up to date as to what's going on now, is the art exhibit. Thanks to the generous donation of a couple of good benefactors, we have installed a rail system for the exhibition of art material. If you've been to the library, I had thanked at a previous meeting Randy for his staff in installing that. And Beth Knapp, I have to applaud her for her ingenuity and her foresight in contacting various artists who will be displaying throughout the year on a rotating basis. She has some other ideas in the works that have to do with the art exhibit. And I envision that when I do this report next year, I can report that that whole system is expanded to other rooms of the library, and the entire art program will be expanded as well. So we're very excited about that. I think it's a great addition to the library to have this art exhibit. It brings a sense of cultural awareness to our community, and I'm very pleased to report that, and I hope everyone gets a chance to go in and see that. The last thing I have is to announce the fact that Caitlin Stewart has volunteered to be I don't want to call her an adjunct trustee because there is no such position, but she's a volunteer who will be doing some PR work, public relations work for the library, bringing some of our community awareness to what the library is doing, and working with Sherry on instituting some programs. So I want to thank Caitlin for doing that, and we're very happy to have her on board on a volunteer basis. So basically, that's all I have. If anybody has any questions about the annual report, to clarify any of the numbers, I'd be happy to do so.
I was thinking it is apple to oranges comparing years, but it would be interesting to see how much COVID affected the library by number of people that visited, and even
right. And I can certainly do that and send an email out to you, to the board, so that you can see what. Obviously, the numbers have dropped. I mean, there's certainly.
I'm sure, yeah.
Everything is significantly lower than it was before. Probably not. Items in our collection has even gone down because we weren't buying as many items during that particular time either. So I can certainly do that.
It'd just be interesting to see.
It would. Okay, and I will be glad to do that as well. Okay.
Thank you.
Karen?
Yep.
Maybe you could explain to them about how much the ebooks during that time, how the South system had just an unbelievable amount of ebooks taken out.
Makes sense.
They did, and actually the number here is, when you look at the total, 16,775, that is through the sales system. We pay for that. I would have to go back and see. More books were also added, Nancy. So yes, were more ebooks taken out than in previous years? Yes, they were. More books were also added to the collection, as opposed to physical inventory being added. Where we were not adding physical inventory, the sales system was adding more ebooks. We contributed a certain amount of money towards that based on a formula that is contingent on our population. Bigger libraries pay more money into purchase of ebooks. than we do. But I can certainly, I don't want to say that skews it a little bit. Yes, you purchase more ebooks were downloaded and taken out, but also more were purchased. And some of those, I'm sure, had a license for 2, where a new book, if you remember, you could also they could only afford to buy 1 copy of a new book. Now they're able to buy 2 copies of a new book. So it's an interesting figure, but I'll gladly go back and look to see how many ebooks were taken out in the previous year. But now we have more choices as well. You know what I mean? You have more choices. So yes, even without COVID, would more ebooks have been taken out? Probably yes, because you had more choices. You had more ebooks to draw from than you had in the previous year. If the same number was the same, then you could see the effect of COVID a little bit differently.
The whole library system was boasting about how they were able to keep operating during this entire thing, whether it was through ebooks or through curbside, or it's really amazing how they stayed on the front lines.
But a lot of libraries, Saratoga in particular, did not open even curbside until, and I don't know the time frame, but what Lake Pleasant did was much, much earlier than any library, I think, in the system did. Yes. I know Saratoga, up until just a month or so ago, were just starting to even let people into the library on a limited basis, So
Well,
I have to say those
credit to the board and to the staff. And I thought it was a very nice little annual report, the piece you sent.
Thank
Very
you.
easily read and very nice.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank you. And I will do that comparison for you.
Thank you,
Thank
Karen.
you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Thank
I
you very
have a
much.
question, Karen, before you
Sure.
stop. In the last few budgets, we had talked during budget preparation about the library possibly charging non-resident card holders a small fee. And I see that hasn't happened yet.
No, it has not.
And I
No.
just wondered- Yeah, I just wondered, what I did is I took the 865 non-resident card holders for 2019
Yeah.
and the 947 in 2019, and figured if you would charge $5 each for those, it would have raised $4,325 last year and $4,735 in 2019, which is over $9,000 for 8.6% of this year's library budget. So I think it's a significant amount, and it would certainly give the library wiggle room, for unexpected, or put an endowment fund, something. I very much would like to see the library board discuss it, but I went through the minutes of the last 25 meetings of the library board, and I don't see where it's ever been brought up according to the minutes.
Believe me, Chris, it has been, because I was the one that always brought it up.
And it was brought up. It was brought up way in the days of George Sangenberger. It was brought up, and Frank Mazzano, and it was brought up in the context that when they go traveling and they're going into a library and they're a non-resident, in order for them to get a library card, even though they're staying in a community for a couple of weeks, they've had to pay for it. And I think, Nancy, you even had mentioned different places.
I research it when I go on vacation. I pop into libraries to find out, and
there is a charge, right? Did you find for the
so
most
that
part?
has, that had always, it might not have been the last year or two, Chris, but
Right.
believe me, it was discussed,
I
and I
went back
was always
25
shot
years.
down.
Yeah, it is. Always.
Well, it's a new board now, there's been quite a bit of turnover. It's a new board, so
And it will definitely be worthy of discussion, and I can guarantee we will discuss it again. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Karen.
Hey, Karen, is that it?
That's all I have.
Okay, anybody have any other questions for Karen? No? Okay. Thank you, Karen.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
for the time. Thank you for the time.
Absolutely. Okay, so next we have our annual town justices. I have a resolution here. Did everybody receive their packets that were on the table by the bills? Everybody's reviewed them? Okay, so the resolution. Whereas the town board is required annually to audit the financial reports of the town justices in accordance with section 2109A of the Uniform Justice Court Act, and said fiduciary duty in memorialized into the minutes of the board's proceedings. Resolved that the town board accepts the audit report of Judge Purdy and Judge Smith for the year 2020. So I'm looking for someone to move that.
Don't move.
Neil, a second? Don, okay. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so that's that. Okay, next is the Board of Assessment Review. As I had said, Mark, I had sent you information to see if anybody knew of anybody. And, yeah, I have it here somewhere. We have a fellow, what was his last name? I know I wrote it down. Mark Hughes, is actually interested. I spoke with him again today and told him the board would be going through this tonight and, moving a resolution to, appoint Mark. His term would be filling in for Carol Waller, and the term would expire on 9/30 of 21. So it would be just basically from, say, tomorrow till September 31st of this year. And then the board can reappoint or do whatever they want. So I guess at this time, I'm looking for a motion to accept Mark.
So moved.
A second?
I will second. I have questions, but I
Okay, yep,
second.
okay. And discussion.
I'd ask you, back when the resignation came in, so this opening is current and immediate, right?
Correct.
Will we be able to get Mr. Hughes trained? Or will he just be, proctoring at the grievance?
Yes, actually, Barry Baker is setting it up for a training for our full board, through the county. So
Right.
once we approve this tonight, I have to get a hold of Barry, and Mark knows that he would be in training. At this point, it's probably going to be Zoom, but Barry is kind of waiting on us at this time.
Right, but grievance day is coming up, right? Pretty quick.
Barry's talking about within the next couple of weeks,
Okay, very good.
which
Okay.
when I
that
talked
answers
to
my
him,
question.
yeah, a couple of weeks ago. So it should be fairly quick. So
Good.
is there any other discussion? Okay, so, I guess all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay,
It's a difficult job. Thanks. Glad he stepped up.
yeah. Okay, so next, is our meetings time discussion, which we said we would discuss at the last meeting in March. We've been meeting at 5:30, and we said we would, at the end of March, review it and see if it worked out for everybody, if we want to go back to 7 o'clock, if you want to make it 6 o'clock, so I'm opening it up for discussion.
My
Well, I don't
preference
know.
would- my
I'd like to
preference
hear
would
from
be
everyone.
Okay, wait now, we have two people talking, well, okay.
Sorry, Don, go ahead.
I'm just saying my preference would be 7 to make it easier for people to attend the meetings.
Okay,
Dinner time is always between 5 and 6, at least in my house and a lot of houses. And if we meet at 5:30, it's kind of right in the middle. And if people have jobs or a family and they want to come to meetings,
okay,
and realize it's only twice a month, but it is an inconvenience.
okay, thank you, John. Chris?
I really have no preference, but if I had to say, I would agree with Don.
Okay, Okay, Nancy?
At this point, I think my preference would be either earlier, like at 4, or at 7. Just because of what Don said about being dinner time for people, and I know, that I think it would be easier to deal with it and either earlier so we're done, or after dinner.
Okay, Neil?
First, my most important preference would be that we stop Zoom. Thank God. Since 3 of the last 5 meetings, I've been tearing what little hair I have. That said, 4 I think is too early for the public. Would be a burden on them. So, being in the semi-retired club, I was willing to go wherever was good for folks. I have had a little bit of input from public asking to return to 7. So I will weigh in at 7.
Okay. So basically then that is 1, 2, 3, 4 for 7. So I guess will someone want to move that we change our meetings back to 7 p.m. starting our April 5th meeting?
I'll move.
Don moved. A second?
I'll second.
Chris? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. So next is the bus garage lease with the Lake Pleasant School. In our agreement, the school has been paying $11,000 toward the lift and $5,000 for the actual lease of the bus barn itself, the building. The lift is now paid off. The lease is a 10-year lease. So I guess tonight I'm not looking to pass anything. I guess I'm just looking for a little bit of a discussion, and everybody can think it over, and possibly at our April 5th meeting, we can make a decision and go ahead and change the agreement and get it back to the school for the approval through their board, and we'll go from there. I guess I was just looking at that the lift is paid off. We now have to start thinking about maintenance. Randy, you had mentioned garage doors. Are you on, Randy?
Yep.
Okay, so you had mentioned possibly the garage doors. What else were we discussing?
In the next, just so everybody gets a grasp of the whole thing, we've seen a lot of, in the past years, repairs on the garage doors in the garage itself for the school bus. So this is being a 10-year lease. In the next 10 years, I greatly suspect that we're going to have a lot of repairs, and or we're going to need to start, 1 a year or whatever, replacing the doors. So being in 10 years, it's definitely in the realm of things to have to figure that out. The other large item is they keep their buses in a storage, some of their buses in a storage area behind, that's attached to our garage area. That room has its own furnace, oil burning furnace that we supply the oil for. But the furnace is, it's been there since I've been there, and it hangs off the ceiling. I'm thinking that it's very logical in the next 10 years that you're going to have to replace that also. We do the annual services on it ourselves now, but it's, it's getting to the point where the firebox might be burning out and so on and so forth. So, if I've been there 21 years, if it goes another 10 years, that's 30 years old. There's a good chance that furnace might not be there in that 10-year period.
Are those buses still used, or are they just kind of parked there for eternity?
I'm not going to answer that question, but
That's
I know one of them goes in and out a lot.
Okay.
The other two, not so much.
They
So
seem to be spares.
Yeah.
You need spares. That section of the garage is included in the lease agreement.
It is it's more of a tacit agreement there. As Randy pointed out, historically, we have taken care of, as any landlord would, the building, the interior, the electric, the costs of utility and so on in the bus garage itself are handled through the district. But as Randy points out, we've also sort of thrown in those back spaces, and we pay for the heat back there,
Right.
which nowadays we need to have heat back there because of the water separator that's in the same region. But all, as we all know, the exact same confines that is the school district is the town of Lake Pleasant. Ergo, all dollars are the same. We're never, all the way back since this thing happened many years before us, we've always been cognizant of the fact that we don't want to overcharge our school district. It's all dollars to dollars. Our taxpayers would pay it one way or the other, but we're trying to be a good neighbor. However, taking it down to 5,000 with the lifts now all paid, thank God, is probably imprudent. I agree with Betsy. We should be charging somewhere, I think, in the 8,000 or 9,000 per year, and then using that extra 4,000 to help offset some of the things that Randy and Betsy have pointed out.
Correct. You say it's all taxpayer money, but it is out of different budgets, the school budget.
Oh, no question, Don. I'm just saying that it's not, we would never be looking at this as if we were charging, say, 1.5 points to 1 point in a municipality dealing with the town next door.
Right.
They are, in fact, dollar for dollar, exactly our same taxpayers. So we just don't want to pad a contract without any need. But at this point, 5,000 per year is probably too low for what we get, what we provide.
Correct.
That's my opinion.
I, of course, did some figuring, and in the past 10 years, $4,800 a year has been earmarked for maintenance and such repairs, as long as it's not caused by negligence on their part. If you adjust for inflation, it should be $72.21 now. So I think Neil's suggestion of $8,000 is a very reasonable one.
8 or 9, in my opinion. Again, keeping in mind that some of the externals and the doors, there's 3 bays on that building, on the bus garage. So what Randy's proposing is probably wise. Over a 10-year period, maybe every couple of years we replace one as they get more or less irreparable.
Right, and there's 2 more bays that are in the school, in the town building itself.
Sure.
And those are old garage doors, if I'm.
No,
They were replaced when we did
they
the
were
whole
redone
building
when we redid the whole building.
Okay.
back in my time.
Dinner's done.
Dinner's ready.
That or someone's dryer, the laundry's done. Okay, so
That's me.
we all kind of have an idea. We've all discussed it. We all know. So give it some thought, and at the next meeting, I'll bring it up, and we can make a final decision. And I'll go ahead and address it, make changes to the contract, and I'll get it back to Heather Philo, and they can take it to their board, and we'll go from there. Does that sound good to everyone?
Sounds good.
Okay, good conversation, good input from everybody. Okay, next I have dog licensing fees, and this probably sounds kind of silly, but just looking at what we do for, say, an unneutered male dog, for the first time for a year, we're charging $11.50. The state gets $3 of that. There is mailings that have to go out between the state and the individuals. So Debbie and I kind of have talked about it a bit, and I was wondering how the board feels if we raised that one from $11.50 to $13 for a year. And then the others would all be, get this, we charge $3.50 a year for a female that's spayed. The state gets $1, so we get $2.50. So we would like to raise that to $5. So I'm just opening this up for discussion to you, the board. It just seems like a lot of money and a lot of time that goes in and mailings for $3.50.
When was the last time we raised the fees, or have we ever?
11 years ago.
Did you get that?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know if you could hear it. Debbie's over there.
May I ask, Debbie, do you have any, I know there's not been as many clerk meetings and social things and interacting, networking with other clerks. You got any idea what our surroundings do?
Yeah, they
Down
try
within
to
the
block-
county?
try more than we do.
Okay.
No, there are 1150s that we have. They're in the 20s.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, when I came on board here, it was 1050 and 250, and we upped it $1, and that. So I've been here 12 years. So maybe 11 years ago we upped it $1. I mean, trust me, there's many people in this town who has dogs that do not have them registered. That's not my problem. But you know what happens when a dog gets lost and somebody finds him. That tag on his collar comes back to my office, and I have all the files on what we do. But what I do as I mail out letters every month on my computer. It gives me a report of what dogs have to be renewed. So every month I do a report. I send out the renewal slip, which is an envelope and a stamp. And they either come back in person or they come back in mail. So our expenses, there's a certain kind of paper that I use. It's a perforated paper so that one part of it stays with the owner and one part stays with me. We do have to buy the little collars that we give out when a dog is first registered. So, you know, that's kind of what I do. And then I have a report at the end of every month where I have to send it into Agri Markets, the money that I've collected for the state.
Let's be clear here. I understand you don't go out and chase the dogs that don't have.
You know, Neil, I do not. I'm sure there's got to be a town clerk somewhere in this crazy world, but
I thought you did everything.
not my thing. But I could hire you to go do that job.
No, gosh, no. I have no problem with the small additional raise.
So, okay, so is there any discussion on this? Anybody else want to have any input?
I would think we should raise it up to comparative prices with the towns around us.
Okay.
I need to go back. I didn't catch at the first, Betsy, where you said $10.50 for an unneutered dog and $2.50 for others.
It's $11.50 for unneutered and $13. We want to raise it to. Okay, a male neutered right now. That price, the $11.50 is the first time that they do it. Then, as a renewal, a male would be $3.50. So the state gets $1 of that. So we only get $2.50.
Anything that's spayed is $3.50. Any animal that's not spayed, it's an annual fee of $11.50, and it's an annual fee for anything that's spayed at $3.50. So that's just looking to see about maybe covering some of the expenses by raising it.
Anybody else have any questions or any thoughts?
I think
Raising it seems reasonable to me. I just almost think that little raise isn't going to make that much difference.
Well, I don't know. I'm wondering if we shouldn't raise it some this year and then say revisit this in 2 years and see what everybody else is doing and maybe raise it again to try to eventually catch up with the other surrounding towns, but not do it all in one shot. I don't know. That's up to you guys. It's just my idea, just a thought.
I can definitely send out an e-blast to my fellow town clerks in the surrounding counties, which would be Warren County, Hamilton County, other town clerks, and Washington County. If you want me to find that details out before you make a decision, it's entirely up to you.
Sorry, Betsy, I'd just weigh in that while we should definitely be looking to cover our costs, keeping in mind if you raise it too much, however many delinquent people you have now that don't register their dogs, you will increase that number.
Oh, totally agree with you, Neil, on that. Totally agree.
So can I make a suggestion that we raise it just that little bit and then maybe revisit it in 2 years from now? and see what this does by raising it this little bit?
I'm for it. I'd move that motion.
Okay. Okay, is there a second?
I'll
Anybody?
second.
Don.
I'd like to see it
Okay.
raised a little more, but anything is better than not. Because
Right.
my feelings are, why should the rest of the taxpayers contribute their money as little bit as it is to people that own dogs?
Right.
The dog owner should be responsible for their dog. All costs incurred.
Well, and it's kind of like when we did our building loan, our building permits and all that. We kind of went so far, and then we decided that every 2 years we would revisit it just to see where we are with the other towns, and if we need to adjust, then we will, and not try to do it all in one shot. Because
Okay.
again, we'd have the same thing there. People wouldn't be getting permits. They would try to, work around that. So, just my idea.
I remember they used to do a dog census of sorts. Someone used to go around and
Yeah, because actually, Sherry hired Chuck Smith to do that.
Oh.
So that was the only one that I have known of records that were done by that. And he went knocking on everybody's doors to do that. So, I mean, if you all want to hire somebody to do that, then
That's defeating the purpose.
I suggest we shouldn't use the Census Bureau.
Okay, so at this time, Chris moved it, Don seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Is there any opposed? Okay, so we'll take care of that. Next is the post-closure agreement. Everything in the contract is, I received the renewal for this year. Everything in the contract is exactly the same. It's just gonna be the one routine inspection in the fall, and it'll be $2,032. So I'm basically just looking for your approval to sign the agreement and get it back to them.
I'll move.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, any discussion?
And we just pay 38% of that, right? We don't pay the whole shot anyway. It's area speculator, Morehouse and Wells each pay a share.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, and I did send out those bills, and we've received them all back in a timely manner. Yep,
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, it doesn't affect the budget by that much money.
correct. Yep. Okay, so is there any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Okay, so next I'm going to move to committee reports. Does anybody have any committee reports? Nancy?
The only thing, in the fall, I believe it was, I was kicking around the idea, I had mentioned it to Don about perhaps for Youth Rec doing horseback riding lessons. And with COVID, of course, it wasn't available last year, but I was thinking that might be something to look into with Kristen Yoder to see if she could handle a couple of kids to do some riding.
Great idea.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Still do the golf? You still do the golf?
yeah.
I don't think they did this past summer,
No.
but
No, I
Yeah.
know they hadn't.
mhm.
Sam must be about ready to present her
I would think.
draft schedule. I had somebody contact me a couple weeks ago asking about youth programs in the summer. Her family owns a house up here, and she and her 2 children, ages 8 and 14, will be here all summer. And in the course of answering her question, I realized we don't have one place where all the summer youth programs offered by anybody are all together in one spot. So I called on the Chamber of Commerce, and I put together the ones I knew of, and they put together the ones they know of, and I talked to the churches, and we've come up with a list. And I've just been waiting to see what Sammy comes up with for the summer. Because, like, for instance, I don't know if I should tell this woman that golf is going to be one of the things, the golf lessons. So I've held off on responding to her. But did I send that list out to you guys for comment?
No, I didn't see it.
I'll send it out because you guys might think of something that Donna and Bonnie and I didn't think of.
Sammy stopped me the other day, and she is kind of waiting on what the board is suggesting to do this summer with the youth group.
Okay.
So what, Nance?
I said, okay. I guess I'll have to get in touch with her and get her ideas and see where we're going to go. I know last year she was very frustrated because she would come up with ideas and we just couldn't do them because of COVID.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
maybe
try
you
not
can
to
tell.
discourage her this year.
Yeah.
Full speed ahead.
Full
Right.
speed ahead. She's the full speed ahead person.
Wear your mask.
Okay, so Nancy, we'll wait and hopefully you'll have something to report to us, or she'll be at the next meeting.
That
So
would be
to
good.
kind of fill us in and have a discussion with us, that would be good if we could get her at the meeting. Okay, is that it, Nancy, for you?
That's it from me.
Don?
Nothing this meeting, maybe next.
Okay. Chris?
No committee report, no.
Okay. Okay, Neil?
Just the ERSAT's committee that you had put me regarding the any new septic / sewer law for wetland protection, lake protection, etc. While we've taken a step back from any immediate new law with the village, I have put feelers out for folks who can give us input towards things that we can be looking at. Kathy O'Connell and the gentleman who's the president of the LPSA contacted me, and they want to meet. So I'm at their disposal. We're going to do that. Hopefully we can hear from, as many voices as possible. The idea is good. But again, as I pointed out to them, much of this still has to keep our feet on the ground and realize that it revolves a lot around enforcement and inspection, and who would do those things. It's not something municipality can hand over very easily to a non-government agency. So there's a lot of moving parts, and I think it's best to get a law right. So I'll report back, and whenever they ask to meet, if you can meet with us, Betsy, that'd be good.
Yes, and I will. And also, just to mention, I know I had gotten you the information. Lenny Crute from Water and Soil had contacted us that he actually can do a lot of inspections, and he can also help us work to get this law down right and perfect everything. He is working right now with the town of Arietta. Right now, Arietta is on hold with theirs, but Lenny will be helping them, and they will be starting to move along again. So hopefully we can do the same.
Yeah.
It was Soil and Water that used to do the inspections way back when.
Correct.
They hired Don Rasmussen, who was the science teacher at Wells High School, every summer for, 13 years. So
that was for the septic test testing of
tests.
You're right.
Yeah.
And while I'm all for that, any new law, certainly anything that was proposed by that joint meeting I attended with the village, was quite a bit more extensive in involving inspection. In fact, a lot of moving parts of having the folks who install being involved, the local contractors, all of the local realtors. And that's why it made me a little squeamish, is because they started to step into areas that really should be about caveat emptor between a single person and civil matters, like I sell you something, and what you purport to be okay for a good working leach fields, septic, etc. If it's not up to the buyer's little bit standards later on, I don't see any place for us to be in that fence fight. We should definitely be keeping the level of what's expected of all to be at one spot. But again, sometimes you overbite on laws that now we're involved in every little fence skirmish. Probably not a good idea.
Never my intention when I brought it up that I felt we needed some kind of a law. My intention was just when a property changed hands, there would be a thorough inspection of the septic system, the leach field. I don't know what the inspection would be. I don't know what they do other than a dye test. But the reason I thought that we should start out that way is because at least we'd be getting primarily the houses that change hands are often on the lake, and at least it would be a start in the right direction for some kind of septic law.
Right, I think, and the protection that you were looking to provide is for the public, for the waters.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I say I'd like to get this right so that it's not about trying to be at everyone's closing or to be an arbiter between folks who are selling waterfront, creekfront property. Just that it's the general public that the town or any municipality should be looking to protect. So Caitlin Stewart also was on those same emails. Strand, I didn't mention that, Betsy, but okay. Caitlin, of course, and that means when she's speaking with Lenny involved as well.
Mm-hmm. And Chris, first I want to say, Neil, I'm in total agreement with you with everything you've just said. And Chris, what you said was exactly how I felt. I thought that's the way we should be starting it. This is something that I feel that, start out slow. And as we go on, it's things that we may have to adjust and tweak and just go, like, say, every 2 years and revisit it and decide what is working and what is not working and what we may have to adjust.
I'm very happy that Lenny called you because he knows a lot about this.
Yes.
And I would be willing to go about it in that fashion, feeling that, we don't know what we're doing, when it comes to septic systems, or at least I know I don't. And Lenny, I have a lot of respect for him, and having him on the ground, going around, maybe starting to just do the ones that have will change hands.
Yep.
He'll see a lot.
Absolutely.
And he'll know what we should add to the law next.
And he's trained in all this.
Yes.
He's gone to school. He knows or understands all this. So I think to have him to guide us would be a tremendous asset.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. Okay, Neil, is that it for you?
Yes, ma'am. For now, yes.
Okay. We got Don, we got Chris, we got Neil. Okay. Basically, I just want to say that we're working with the Office of the Aging contract. We've completed and updated our certificate of attestation of exemption. I'd like to mention that the COVID clinics for vaccines, there's one this Thursday, March 18th at the Lake Pleasant School from 4 to 6, and Friday, March 19th at the Indian Lake School from 4 to 6. And now it's if anyone is 60 and over that is looking for a vaccine, please tell them to call me and I will get them registered. Because they have changed a lot of the qualifications now, and a lot of people working with the public, town clerks, a lot of people are now eligible to get the vaccine. So please have them call me. And that's basically all I had for the committee reports. I'm looking for a motion to pay the bills from the March 12th. Anybody like to move that?
Move.
Okay, Don. A second?
Second.
Nancy, okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Why?
Okay, any opposed? Okay, our next meeting will be Monday, April 5th at the library at 7 p.m. for the board members. At this time, we are waiting to see about the open meeting law, if it's been extended or not. if we have to continue with Zoom for the public or not. If not, we will be open to the public, but they will be required to wear masks and to social distance at the library. But we'll have plenty of advance notice for that. Let's hope we can get back to normal and end this computer stuff. It's too much. And next, I would like to open the floor for public comment. Is there any public comment this evening?
I have a question.
Sure.
Presumably, the April 5th meeting you referred to would be available for guests by Zoom?
By Zoom, definitely, and if the open meeting law is not extended and we can open up to the public, we will be opening to the public.
What about then? Will it be available for guests by Zoom?
Well, the board will be at the library. If it has to be by Zoom, you can join by Zoom.
That's the question.
Sure, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Yes, absolutely.
That's,
we're
Betsy, I
hoping
think he's also asking if it's open to everybody in person, can we also have it, for Zoom for people not in the area?
Oh,
I think that's where he was going with that.
I believe that's,
is that what you meant, Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I apologize. I was missing that. I don't really think it's necessary to do a Zoom meeting. I'm hoping that people will come. I don't know. What's the board's feeling?
it's a nominal cost.
Lots of people do not get back to the mountains until June.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it might be something the board could consider to have the Zoom operating, but obviously, other than public comment, we couldn't be going back and forth with people.
Well, but if they could proctor it.
Just, yes.
Nancy, excuse me, what does it cost? We
About
kept it going by the month.
$15 a month.
I'll pay that for it.
I mean, it's not, if it allows several taxpayers to proctor the meeting, why not?
Might be moot the way the governor's been going with this. I mean,
Yeah, I think so too.
we might be doing it for a while longer, even if we're meeting in person.
Well, so many communities that are just slightly larger than us or closer to a population center have had closed circuit or, those sort of coverages in their meetings for years.
That's correct.
So it's always something that we had aspired to, both in the village and the town. It was either cost prohibitive or needed people to run the equipment that we didn't have. Zoom's, it's certainly not a fan, but it's certainly better than nothing.
Okay,
We could
so
do it on a trial basis and see if
Why not?
it's,
I'll just have to get Zoom on my computer, Nancy, because you won't be here.
No, I'll be here next meeting. I won't the
5th?
meeting.
Okay. That's my only
We'll
concern.
work it out. Yeah.
We'll work it out for
Or
the next
God
meeting.
forbid I have to set it up while I'm on vacation.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
we
you
just
don't want to
assumed
do that.
that even if you're on vacation, you'd want to zoom in,
Oh
yeah, irrespective of where you were.
you're still a member of the town board.
I
No
know.
word matters.
You could be
Okay,
in
so
Hawaii.
I guess my only comment, we're happy that you're here, Mr. Mayers, but we get very few people having any interest in actually attending these meetings.
Well, the interest comes from what your agenda is.
True.
You could have sporadic interest
That's
that
right.
would run high.
Well, the reason we were looking forward to having the public meetings back is because
Oh.
a lot of people were having a problem with the Zoom because they couldn't see us because the computer was behind us, and then some people were having a problem hearing us. So we had to try to keep turning around to the computer to talk. But we'll plan it for the meeting of the 5th, and let's see how we make out.
Okay.
Let's just hope we can get back to normal, everyone.
Here.
Okay, so anybody else have anything for public comment? Okay, so then I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Round table.
Round table.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I skipped it on the agenda completely. I'm sorry. Okay, Chris, you can start.
Well, I also think you skipped town assessor resignation.
Well, actually, we have to table that because I have not heard anything. There's nothing else new, but thank you. Yes, you're right. I did skip that too. We're very confused here because we're here at the office and one computer won't work, and we're very mixed up because we were doing a meeting just before this meeting.
Yeah.
So we're having computer issues here tonight. So anyway, go ahead with roundtable, Chris. You want to start?
That was the only thing I wanted to bring up, just
Oh.
in case it's something new.
Oh, okay, about the assessor.
Oh, no, yeah, there was something else. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The groomer fund. Don't we have to do a reserve resolution for the groomer fund? Okay.
No.
No, because we haven't spent the money. So we did it originally.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yes, we did it originally, and so we haven't spent the money. The reason we did the truck one is because we bought the truck and then we had to do another one. But right now, it just keeps growing, until.
We're in a current resolution on that.
Correct. That's the best way to word it.
Okay, does anybody else have anything for roundtable?
I just want to say that I'm glad and kind of saddened because we're going to meet in person next time, because I just got my internet working. Finally.
Smart ass. Good for you.
Once again, God has a sense of humor, right?
There you
I
go.
only had
And
one.
your
one
fish are
incident.
back.
Yes, they're back.
Neil, did you check on fiber optic?
I did. I'm on a holding pattern, Dick, to get the deal that actually seems like what you said might happen. I might end up netting less.
Well, you
all I
will.
wanted was
promise.
1G.
I promise you, it's half.
I'm not a guy who knows exactly what G is, but I know I want more of it.
Nobody has anything else.
Yeah. What they did for me actually is the internet supposedly comes in on the fiber optic on 2 megahertz and 5 megahertz. And they switch back and forth, supposedly according to what is working the best.
Gotcha.
But that doesn't always work right with Frontier's equipment.
Okay.
So they prioritize the 5 megabytes, and I now have a new Wi-Fi system going through the house that I had to sign into, and it seems to work a whole lot better.
So when
So
we're at
there
the
you-
library next, Don, will you just stay home and just zoom in?
I was just gonna say, Neil, you could go to Don's house.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Don, second.
Oh.
Uh-oh,
I
wait a
forgot
minute.
to ask you, Betsy, did you get a chance to talk to Rick Wilt about tennis courts?
I did not,
Okay.
because we aren't doing anything with those tennis courts for, what did we say, till 24.
Right.
So to ask him now for money for then is, unless you guys think we should be, but we aren't really
He's not gonna give
collecting
you
money
any
for
anyway.
that. What was that?
He's not going to give you any anyway, but
Yeah, probably not.
take a crack at him at your best leisure.
Well, Rick is not running for re-election.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yeah, so, how about if we address it when the time gets closer, when we feel there's a need that we're going to have to start doing some work on them. Randy and I had discussed it, and Debbie, and so I opted not to, but if you want me to, I will contact them now.
Well, it's worth the effort.
Okay,
Down the road.
down the road?
For me,
Okay,
we're stuck with what we have for now anyway.
right, till 20, right, okay. Okay, so we need a second to adjourn?
I think I had one. I'll
No.
second.
Don made the motion, okay, and Neil is seconding. Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.